Alrighty then, what's this? Well, it's the new Modo Bass 2 from IK Multimedia. Um, let's just immediately have a listen to it. Here's a little thing I knocked up. It's a little thing I made up on the bass back in my 20s years ago, just when I was messing around playing harmonics, and I've sought to reproduce it here using Modo Bass. Here we go. Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. It's just this thing I made up playing with the harmonics. It's quite pleasant actually. Now, you're listening to both of the Modo basses completely raw using their own internal built-in amps. I've got, this is an old project from when Modo Bass 1 came out, so I've actually got over each of the bass tracks an amplitude 4. So if I switch those on, now each of those basses is feeding into an amplitude 4 rig, each of which is running a vintage Ampeg emulation, which is dialed down to be quite soft, so now you'll hear it a bit less piano-y and clean. Yeah, lovely stuff. Let's just turn those off. So, Modo Bass 2. Well, you're just getting more. You're getting more. Now, incidentally, if you're wondering why I've got two Modo basses doing this bass line, it's because this is the harmonics pattern. There's the two harmonic notes, two more, two more, two more, two more. These long notes, I've dialed all these up to maximum velocity so they'll be read and easy to distinguish from the notes that are actually fretting or playing the harmonics. These long control notes are forcing these pairs of notes to actually play harmonics rather than fretted positions. And then the little tiny control notes are forcing these harmonic notes to play on specific strings. Because what I discovered is that if you when I play it on a real bass, I start here and then play those two harmonics, then down to here and play those two harmonics, which in that fifth fret have that very high harmonic thing, right? Then down to here and play those two harmonics, then there and play those two. Well, the harmonics in some of these positions were not playing the right harmonics, so I've split it. Not so much for that. I mean, that's just, you'll see that some of the harmonics are playing on different strings, but the split business is because if the bottom bass notes, you play the bottom bass note and then over the top you fret the harmonic thing, right? Well, these control notes forcing these two notes in each case to play harmonics, as soon as they came in, they were causing the bass root note to switch to a harmonic as well. So I had to switch it into two patterns. So we got this pattern playing the raw bass, which isn't being affected by those harmonic switches, just a couple of forcing the notes to specific strings there. And also I'm using some pitch bend to do like the slide downs. Like that, right? Okay, so that's doing the raw bass and that's doing the harmonics. And that way I can have these playing harmonics without those harmonic trigger switches, control switches, articulation switches, causing the raw bass notes to suddenly switch to be harmonics. Alright, that's why I'm doing it like that. Any use, let's go through and listen to some of the basses. you've got way more basses now, 22 in total. But if we go to model, okay, they're both using a P bass. Let's try them both on a 70s P bass. More dense, more woody, as you'd expect in the 70s jazz bass. More mid-range, really nice. Bear in mind though, you can change the playing position. That's where you're plucking the strings, which changes the tone, as you would know if you play the bass. Pickups can be changed, etc., etc. We'll get to all that. Also, this is a new one, the punk bass. It's got a lovely, rich, mellow, mid-range quality. Then this is the Jaco Pastorius fretless. This is the Palladino fretless Music Man. Completely different to that fretless. It's got a more warm, lower mid-range. This is more tight. A little bit of a higher mid emphasis, but very subtle. Then you got the fusion jazz bass. Nice and woody and tonally nice, that one. Then this horn bass. That's very punchy and clear. Then we get to the uprights. Fantastic stuff. Bit quiet though. Let's put them both up. Then the rockabilly slap type bass. Fantastic stuff, absolutely fantastic. But there's more. You get loads of bass now. There's this aluminium thing. Oh, let's turn those down. It's good and solid, that one. Less mid-range, which you tend to get with a denser body. The modern jazz bass. Really nice, tonally rich, that one indeed, with lots of detail in the upper end. This SG type bass. Oh, that's lovely and warm, beautiful. Yeah, you can move the pickups on any of them. Then we got this Music Man 5-string. And a Ricky. Oh, that is lovely and rich. Next, this 5-string studio. 5-string is it? 6-string. Really tight, balanced sound, and you've got obviously these way more strings. Okay, now one of my personal favourites, the Hofner violin bass. It's cracking this, and when you choose this bass, it does switch to flat wound strings. That is just fantastic, dosey. Next, the Thunderbird. with that sort of characteristic. Oh, I've got the window open in the over there. Sorry, bit of a motorbike cutting in there. Yeah, that sort of plank-like piece of wood, mid quality it has. Okay, next is this. I think this is a Yamaha 5-string. Is it 4-string? 4-string. Very nice and controlled, and lots of mid presence to that. The Warwick, this is a Warwick Streamer, I think. And this is some, oh God knows what this is, but how many strings? I always tease bassists who have 5 or 6 strings. Well, what do you need 6 for? What can't you do? 4. Very tight controlled sound, and then there's this metal bass. No idea what it is. Etc. etc. That's the 22 models. I believe it's 22. Now, obviously, I'm only giving you the most basic taste of them, because with every single bass, let's go way back in time to the beginning, and let's choose this 60s P bass. Now, any bass with the new Modo 2, if you go to strings, you can make any bass 5-string or 6-string, right? You can make any bass fretless, so you've got 22 basses, and any of them can be made 5-6-string or fretless. Also, there's a drop tuning you can bring in. I believe that's what that is. I haven't really looked into it. And you've still got the old stuff from before, from Modo Bass 1, like the strings can be flat or round wound. They can be light, medium or heavy gauge. They can be new, broken in or very old, etc. etc. You can change the tuning reference as well if you want. And you can change the action as well, etc. Okay. Now, play style, it's the same as before. You can use articulations to switch between the different styles, finger pick or slap. You can increase the amount of your palm muting it. You can do different strokes, and whether you're playing heavy, light or whatever, and let the strings ring. And fingering is about how it moves around the fretboard to fret different notes that you choose, if you're not forcing it to specific strings, etc. And open strings, it will attempt to use open strings rather than a fretted string. So you can adjust the amount of detachment noise when you let go of strings, and the slide if you're using slides, etc. So yeah, I mean, it's just way more choice now. Not only have we got way more basses, but any of them can be a 5 or 6 string, and any of them can be fretless. With the electronics, I mean, as I said, I'm just giving you the most basic taste of this, because in the electronics section, as before with Modo Bass 1, the pickups can, I mean, this has got a single pickup there, but I could give it 2 if I wanted. Then I can move the pickups around, so pickups can be moved around to position them to get the tonal thing that you want, and any pickups can be changed. So there's all the possible choice of pickups I can employ and organise on this bass. So if I wanted to, I could have that pickup there, and then in that position here, I could choose that pickup. You know, so you can mix and match your pickups with the body. And remember that you can also change the strings. You can make them fretless or fretted. You can make them 4, 5 or 6 string, etc, etc. So the choice is amazing. And then blend the volume between whatever pickups you're using. So you can move the pickup positions, change any pickups, and change where the bass is being played, which also changes the sound. And that can be constantly varied within patterns where the bass is actually being plucked, etc. Now, whether or not the basses have a piezo, there is a piezo built in, or a piezo channel that you can bring in with the pickup outputs. And any bass, whether it's passive or not, active or not, can be switched to active, in which case you get a 3-band EQ rather than the basic tone control. Yeah? So, man, you know, you just the possible variety you can get out of this thing is just staggering. Okay, next, studio. which is where you have a choice of 2 amps, the tube or the solid state. This hasn't really changed from Modo 1, but you've got the piezo control here again, so you don't have to go all the way back to electronics to adjust it. It's there as well in studio. So you've got the amp, solid state, in which case it has a gain, bass, mid and treble and a graphic, and there's a limiter can be brought in. The tube one has a gain, bass, mid, a mid frequency control, which is switching, and a treble, and you can bring in a punch and a harmonics, to get extra harmonic richness. And again, the piezo's there, and then you've got 4 possible stomp box positions, and you choose a position, and there's your possible stomp boxes: the octave, distortion, chorus, the compressor, delay, envelope filter, or graphic, which is an 8-band graphic. So you can have any stomp boxes you want, and you choose the stomp box. There's the controls for it. There's the controls for the compressor. There's the controls for the graphic. There's the controls for the octave. There's controls for the envelope follower with band pass, high pass, or low pass options, etc. Right? So you've got all your pedals, and then that's your level of your stomp output. That's the level of piezo, and that's the level of the amp rig, and you blend them all together how you want. All right, fantastic. Now, one thing to note is, because remember I showed you electronics, which is where you can switch and mix and match the pickups, position the pickups where you want, adjust their tone, whatever it is you want, blend in piezo, whatever. If we choose either of the two upright basses, then that electronics tab switches to mics, and we have a room now. You have a choice of 3 close mics, a Neumann U87, an AKG 414, or a Royer Ribbon 121. Right, that's your close mic, which has X and Y axis, horizontal and vertical, and then there's a distance to bring it closer or further away, and that's the level of the close mic. Then that's the level of the pair of room mics, which, if you didn't notice, are here. Right, and you can adjust their width, and that's the level of the room. So you balance the level of the room mics with the level of the close mic, and then that's your master microphone volume. But while you're in this panel, this page, conveniently you can also balance the mics with the amp and the stomp outs, and the piezo, because even though these don't generally have piezos and amps, and they're not run through amps usually, you do get that with these. So you can use them absolutely raw with just the mics, but if you want, you can use a piezo and have it running through a rig as well, and blend all that here. Or back here you've got the same mic control if you want to do it in this section, where you can also get access to the stomps and things. Yeah, the patterns has changed in terms of, I think there's more of them, but the display has changed to make it perhaps a bit more obvious what the patterns are doing. And any patterns can be dragged and dropped into your DAW, where they can either import their inherent built-in tempo, or they'll just change when you drag and drop them in to the tempo of the DAW. And obviously once those patterns have been dragged and dropped into your DAW, they then become MIDI notes and you can edit them. Fantastic stuff. So you've got a big selection of patterns for all different styles, etc., that you can use. And whatever view you're in, the pattern player is always down the bottom here with the selector, which is kind of handy, because when you're setting up a bass, you can choose. Some of these are not going to work with some of the basses, but you can choose a pattern, and it gives you something to play along with. That's another thing that it's useful for. It's always down the bottom there, available. Okay. Back to patterns. Let's put back to patterns. Yeah. So loads and loads of patterns. They can sync to your DAW, work up internal sync, and they can be switched to half time or double time, etc. And there's a velocity control as well, which adjusts the velocity, I presume, of the notes within a pattern, which would make complete sense. That's what it must be doing. Yeah. So yeah, I can't go too mad getting into this, but finally the control page, which hasn't really changed much from the old Modo Bass. These are it's a chart showing you what all the control and articulation notes and CCs are, and most of them can be changed. Okay, so you can set them to the particular continuous controller number you want in the case of where it can be a continuous controller. Otherwise, they're key switch, and you can change the note for that key switch, etc., etc. And some of them, if that is something that they can do, that you would want them to do, and they can do, some of them can be latched. Okay, so you know that's just a reference chart, but here to follow, but also you can change it to what you want with nearly all of them. There's also here the vibrato range and the slide range. Okay, and that's it really. Otherwise, there's just this thing here with units in centimeters or inches. Don't know what that's about, and a velocity curve thing. Otherwise, there's the info. This is the overall volume. Yeah, and this exclamation mark, as far as I know, you know, that just kills MIDI notes. You'd be playing a pattern, I suppose. If you get stuck MIDI, if you get stuck MIDI notes, I presume that just kills it. Lovely jubbly. So yeah, Modo Bass 2. It's just more Modo Bass goodness, but you're getting not only more basses, but you're getting way more choice, because every bass can be 5-string, 6-string, or fretless, as well as all the other things that you can do that I briefly kind of showed you there. So in summary, Modo Bass, let's have a quick look at the old web page. Okay, so the full version of Modo Bass is €299.99. The reduced SE version is $149.99. This gives you 4 of the bass models. This gives you all 22, the full-blown version. And there's the Modo Bass Custom Shop, which is completely free and gives you 1 bass, and you can't switch it to fretless. But the Custom Shop, you can try it for free, and it'll allow you to put any of the other basses into demo mode and try them out. So that's the one to try. If you've never used Modo Bass and you're not upgrading, I don't know if there's an upgrade path. You'll have to talk to IK Multimedia about that. So there's the 3 versions, but also they're doing a bundle deal on Modo Bass 2 and the later version Modo Drum 1.5, which is a very good bundle. $399.99 for both. So yeah, that's what you got. Now in terms of the actual basses themselves, let's go for the full version here, because when I went through it, I said this is that, or that might be that bass, but this is what you're actually getting emulations of. Starting with the new models, that's the Jaco Pastorius Precision, or Jazz Bass, sorry. That's the Pino Palladino Fretless Stingray. That's the 2 uprights. All of these are new so far, new models included in this Modo Bass 2. And then you've got this Dane Electro Longhorn, that's one of the new ones. You've got this Punk bass, which is a Fender Mark Hoppus Jazz bass, that's one of the new ones. And the Marcus Miller Jazz bass, that's one of the new ones. And so is the aluminium one, the Noah Parafina bass. And the rest are all in from the previous version, but you know they've been updated to be able to be fretted or fretless and various other tweaks. So to just tell you what they're actually modelled on, that's the Fodera Imperial Custom 6-string. That metal bass is a Dingwall Combustion 5-string. That's your 60s Precision with the Rosewood fretboard. That's your 70s Precision, the Maple fretboard. That's your 70s Jazz bass. That's your modern Jazz bass with a Maple fretboard. That's your SG, the Gibbo EBO bass. That's a Music Man Stingray. That's the Ricky. That is actually a Yamaha TRB 5P. That's the Hopner violin. That's the Thunderbird. Now I said that was a Yamaha, maybe it's actually an Ibanez Soundgear SR. That's the Warwick Streamer. And then we're back to the start again. 8 new basses, 22 in all. But as I said, you've got all that massive variety for changing things. Any bass, 4, 5 or 6 string, fretless. Any bass can be made fretless, and then there's all the other variations you can do as well. So yeah, it's just more juicy Modo Bass goodness, isn't it? Let's be honest. I don't know if there's an upgrade path. You'll have to look into that yourself. But there it is. I can't go too deep in it because I always make these things too long. But I hope that's useful. But if you don't use Modo Bass already, as I always say with these IK Multimedia stuff, try it. They give really, really good hassle-free demos. You don't need iLock, dongles and all the rest of it. They've got their own authorization system they've built, which is really, really good. So try it. Try the demo. Try it out. Try it for yourself and see what you think. Modo Bass 2. Hope that's useful. I'll see you for more videos soon.